Thank you all for joining us. I hope we have almost 100, and we expect 150 JDs to join us. It's a pleasure to join you, all of you, and also our special guest for this Rosh Hashanah event. But before I start my remarks, I'd like to say something else that is off script. I noticed that today is September 1st. For me, September 1st has always been a year, a date that I look back and look forward to where I am and what I had. It all started in 1957, a few months after my bar mitzvah, and I thought about what it meant to be a man and what responsibilities are. And again, I spent the day just thinking about it and talking about it. The next time was 1973, when I was going to, for the first time, join my parents for Yom Kippur. It was always a time that I went separately. And I remember coming out of the event and hearing that the Yom Kippur War had started. And my first reaction is, how can I help? And I realized I could not help. And I made a pledge at that moment that in the future, when Israel was in trouble, I wanted to know the right people to call to help, because I felt it was an obligation of me as a Jew to do everything I can to help Israel. Again, this goes back to September 1st when I first thought about going to the Yom Kippur with my parents. The next time was 1986. I was then U.S. ambassador in Austria, and I was living in Vienna. And I came there in April. In May sometime, a man called Ivan Hacker, who was the head of the Jewish community of Israel, of Austria, came to see me and said, look, we finally have an ambassador who's Jewish. I'm an old man, I'm dying of cancer, and I'd like you to take over from me when I die. And I said, look, the Marine guy downstairs, who happened to be black, probably knows more about Judaism than I do, but thank you. And I said, this one is sponsored. On September 1, his wife called me up and said, my husband just died. And the last words he said to me was, call Ambassador Lauder and tell him to keep his pledge. I said, I think you misunderstood her, but unfortunately, she didn't. And from that point on, I started to become involved in Jewish life permanently. That started my schools, that started a lot of the things I did, and ended out, frankly, in the best way possible, being the head of the World Jewish Congress. So for me, September 1st is a very important date. Today, after this is over, after this event is over, I will have some lunch and then spend the rest of the afternoon and evening thinking about what we have to do. But the good thing is, unlike the people in the 1930s who had nowhere to look for help, we have something that's so important called the World Jewish Congress. And we have a group within the World Jewish Congress called the JDs, the Jewish Diplomats, who are our future. You are our future. You are the people who are there, be you Orthodox or secular. You are our future. And what we have to do is empower you to do many more things than even you're doing now. And at Rosh Hashanah now, we are looking at, for the days of awe, the days of reflection. But part of that reflection is not only what you did and what you didn't do this past year, but also what you can do. we have the greatest challenge in front of us. We have two challenges. One is the rise of anti-Semitism, and that is particularly among younger people, and also the fact that many young people in the Jewish religion don't understand the role of being Jewish or Israel. I had a piece recently in Yediot in Israel where I talked about the fact that 20% of young Jewish people don't feel that Israel is important to have in Israel. That's too high of a number. And one of the things I believe we have to do is fight anti-Semitism using JDs and using education, and fight the new form of anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism. And during this time, between now and Yom Kippur, not only think about what's happened in the past, but what you can do in the future. And I think it's an extraordinarily important time. We are lucky. We have an organization that has the power and the strength to do it. Also, I ask you all, when you see other people, other young people, Jewish, who you think could be good JDs, recommend it to us. My number is somewhere between 300 and 500. I would say close to 500 JDs I want to have. We have, I think we're already over 300. I want 500 JDs minimum. And in countries, for example, in France, I think we have enough. In many countries, I think we need more people. This is our future. You are our future leaders. I'm also believing that this is a time for great reflection, great thinking, and I must tell you, I'm with you. I can only say how enormously proud I am of the World Jewish Congress and its people, but also the Jewish diplomats, the JDs, for what you're doing and your ability to reach out to a whole generation. The next generation, this generation, your generation, is our future. You are our future.